to another edition of our Thursday night's class. Tonight's class is sponsored in loving memory of Arthur Ariel ben Istat Irina, Alav HaShalom. תהיה מלכתו צבועה בצור החיים עם כל הצדיקים והחסידים בגן עדן העליון, אמן ואמן. I think tonight itself is the yard site of this gentleman. And may the Torah that we learn and the mitzvot that come out of it and the brachot that you made if you ate be an ilui neshama for this great boy. I was briefly told by both a relative, a brother, and acquaintances of his as well, unbelievable things about an amazing young gentleman who, even his tragic passing from the world at a young age, happened through the attempt of helping others. And somebody who gives his life to help others is the master of life. That's somebody who really lived. And the main thing in a situation like this is to take the legacy on. And we emphasize time and time again, and this is our legacy, and since we founded our shiur and everything that came along with it, is to be people of kindness and love, acceptance, and givers. That's where it starts and that's where it ends. If you have that, you have everything. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. Your life, meaning the years that you're alive, are the years that you're a giver. The years that you didn't give, you're not here. There's a very famous story that Rabbi Yaakov was the minister of finance in the country that he lived, by the king. For a Jewish guy to be a minister of finance in those days when they didn't exactly love Jews and they were able to say it publicly because they didn't have to be politically correct, was a big pele, was a big surprise. But the king liked him, and he was a genius in numbers also, and he ran the country's finance very well. The goyim, yimach shemam, that couldn't see a Jew succeed, were jealous, and they insisted that they have to do something to knock him, to bash him, to hurt him, to harm him, and so on. So what they do, these Rishaim? They went to the king, and they told him, when was the last time you checked the books? They said, what do you mean check the books? What books is there to check? I have a guy, he takes care of everything for me. So he said, he's stealing from you. He's in charge of all the money. He's taking on the way to his own pocket. The king said, you have proof for that? So he said, tell him to show you exactly how much money he owns, and you'll see that it doesn't add up. We'll prove you that it's wrong. So the king said, you know what, let me check. I'm not going to be naive. So he called Rabbi Yaakov in, and he told him, listen, you're my friend, and I trust you, and I love you, and it is uncomfortable for me, but what should I do? A lot of people are talking bad here, and I got to be able to shut them up. And the way I'm going to be able to shut them up is by you helping me. How are you going to help me? You're going to give me a breakdown of all your personal finances. And I'm going to match that with what I see and what I know. And I'm going to see if you're an honest person or you're a shyster. And Rabbi Yaakov said, okay, but it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time to figure it out. Give me 3 days. The king said, fine, 3 days, you got it. 3 days later, he comes back to the king, and he gives him a detailed breakdown. And the king looks at it, and he doesn't say anything. He doesn't know what the facts are, so he can't contradict them. And he turns to the other guys there that said bad about him, and he said, here's the breakdown. Can you prove that anything's wrong here? And they said, sure, we could prove it. In his breakdown, he says that his net value, then they didn't have dollars yet, it was more like Bitcoin days, except it was made out of real gold. It wasn't a fantasy. And he said his total value is 700,000 gold coins. Just his house alone is worth more than that. So you see, he's a liar. He's not saying the truth. So the king gets angry and, yeah, this is an easy lie to bust. And he tells him, listen, maybe you want to steal from me, okay. You want to lie to me, okay, but at least say a lie that you won't be busted in 30 seconds. At least a good lie. Such a cheap lie you're selling me, and that's what you think is going to work? So Rabbi Yaakov looked at the king and he told him like this. He said, Your Honor, who's the boss here? Me or you? You. Let's say I have 100 million. And you decide one day you want to take it all away from me. You could do that in 1 second. So what does that mean? that my money is only virtual. It's not really mine. It's by me. But you're the king and you can do whatever you want. So technically it's yours. He said the 600 or 700,000 coins that I wrote that I own, those are 700,000 coins that I gave away to others. That you can't take away from me. So that's the only thing that's really mine. Those are my tzedakot and my good deeds and my kindness that I've done in my life. On that the pasuk says, and Rabbi Benel says this pshat, "V'alach lefanecha tzidkecha." In life, the only thing that you own is your act of kindness and charity. That's it. There's nothing else that's yours. When somebody came to the Chavetz Chaim once and told him, "Rabbi, I'm so rich that even God can't take my money away from me." The Chavetz Chaim looked at this fool and told him, "You're 100% right. God can't take the money away from you, but He can take you away from the money very quickly." And at that moment, what's left is the good deeds. So when we gather together, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Am, in a respectable way, for a young boy who gave his life through the act of giving, I think that's the strongest lesson that everybody has to take home, to be a giver. And there's never enough times that you can talk about the importance of being a giver. If we would understand how important this is, number one, for your own human dignity, but most of all, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that that's the reason why He created mankind in this world, this would be the only subject that was ever spoken about. And how do we know that? There's a Shiur Torah. Why should this be the only subject? Torah, Tchilata, Chesed, V'sofa, Chesed. You want a summary of the entire Torah? 3 letters, Chesed, kindness. Be a kind person. Chavetz Chaim writes in multiple places, amongst them in Ahavat Chesed, that even if one studies the entire Torah, but he's not a Baal Chesed, he's not a giver, the Torah doesn't hold ground. But even if one doesn't study so much, and he has less Torah, but he's a person who's kind to others and he gives, I don't only mean financially, emotionally, he's supportive, he loves, he helps. In Shamayim he's a tzaddik gamur, because he produced so much life. Life is not a heart beating. Life is somebody that's alive. When you smile to another person, you took a dead person who was walking on 2 feet and you made him alive. So now you created life. Rameir Shapir Lublin, the one who founded the Daf Yomi, and Shivat Chachmei Lublin, never had children. And before he passed away, he said that he doesn't feel deprived, or he doesn't feel less than anybody else that he doesn't have children. Because he has 2 very amazing children. Yeshivat Chachmei Lublin, the great yeshiva he established, which was a model for yeshivot later on in history, and the Daf Yomi that he gave Am Yisrael, that I don't know how many people, but probably a couple of 100,000 people every single day study a Daf Gemara and the merit of this man so many years later. Ve'alach lefanecha tzidkecha. That's who you are. In life, really I was going to title tonight's class, I Can Be Your Hero. But my name is not R. Kelly or Celine Dion, and I don't know how to sing. So that's why I decided not to use that. And I was also concerned that it might be translated a bit arrogant, as if an I can be your hero. So I said, we're not going to take any risks today. Everybody's always looking to nitpick. But I want to talk about being a hero. Because the Jewish nation is a nation that has many heroes. Some of them are sung and some of them are unsung heroes. And honestly, the true ones are the ones that are the unsung heroes. I was planning, for those of you who are wondering why I'm holding it in my left hand, it's because I'm a lefty. If you were a righty, you would hold it in your right hand. Anyway, the unsung heroes are the great ones. My original plan was to give it some thought before I came in today, but Hashem had many other plans for me today. And I think He prepared my plan for me Himself. So what do I got to say? So normally we talk strictly about the parashat, and I wanted to branch out into other areas also. And I went to visit a close friend, and he's not well. He has Parkinson's disease. God forbid, we should never know. Hashem should send him a flash, maybe in the merit of this. A man who, if you wanted to understand what it means to be alive, you just looked at him until he got ill with this. He founded so many Jewish organizations. He litigated so many things for Israel. And the amount of Jews that he's helped in this world, I don't know if there's a way to count at this point. And believe it or not, he lives right here in Queens, not far, a few blocks away. And I was sitting in his dining room, I didn't have much time, and he told me he had a very hard day. And I got worried, when somebody's not well and he tells you he had a hard day, it cringes, it hurts a little bit. I said, what happened? And he told me that he had 2 doctor's appointments today. He says, look, Aleinu, one complication brings the next, and suddenly he needs all these doctors. His way of describing it is he goes to one doctor, but that doctor tells him to go to a specialist, and the specialist tells him to go to a doctor in a different field. And this has been going on and on and on like a cycle for a couple of years now. So he went to this one doctor, so he had an appointment, well, whatever came out of it, came out of it. And then he had a second doctor's appointment. It was traffic between one office to the other office. When he got to the second office, they said, being that he didn't come on time, so now you're going to have to wait. All right. As if he would have came on time, he didn't have to wait. Did any of you ever go to a doctor and not have to wait? I don't know. The doctors don't own watches. Maybe we should make a campaign to give doctors watches. They should stick to the time. It's disgraceful. Don't disrespect somebody else's time. You tell them 1 o'clock and 2:30, you still didn't even take him in. Well, some of them that are doing a little better in business, a good con artists, they make a big office with a lot of rooms, and the second you come to the waiting room, they bring you in, and now sit in the closed room alone. So you can't even have a social life anymore. At least in the waiting room, you have who to talk to. You can complain together. But sit in the waiting room, yeah. The nurse comes to check your temperature. Thank you very much. So if you couldn't check your own, and then sit there now for dinner. It's a lack of respect. It's kvod habuyot, like emergencies. What did the doctor say? We have emergencies. So once a doctor told me that after keeping me waiting 3 hours and 15 minutes. I told him, honestly, I have trouble believing you. Tell me the stories of the emergencies. He couldn't even make one up. The emergency was that he wanted to go out for lunch with his friends, and he went out, and instead of going for half an hour, he stayed out for 2 hours. That was the emergency. That was the conclusion. Maybe that's one of the explanations why Chazal say Tov shebarufim legenom, because the amount of time they steal from people. He says he gets to the second doctor, they tell him you have to wait. This man is not that young, he's not well, and he's sitting there in the waiting office over 2 hours. He says they're taking patient after patient and he doesn't exist because he came a few minutes late because he was stuck in traffic. Fine. He says after 2 hours they tell him, sorry, the doctor can't see you today. And now he has to drive back from the city to Queens. And he can't drive. His wife is there. So him and his wife, a whole day gone for nothing. And he's not feeling well on top of it, and it's very draining physically and emotionally. And he tells me, Yaakov, I'll tell you the truth. When I was in the car, before I pulled up to my house, I was a little bit upset. Like, enough. How much can a person take all day? Every time there's something else. He said, but I came to the door of my house, opened the door, I kissed the mezuzah, and I remembered that in the mezuzah it says, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. God is one. I said, now we got 2 choices. Either that he doesn't exist, and then why am I kissing the mezuzah, or he knows what he's doing. And if he knows what he's doing, I may not understand it today. But there was a reason why I wasted my time in a doctor's office. To hear it live from a person who just went through that situation, that was very great. That's called a Jewish unsung hero. It's called Kabbalat Yisurim Be'ahava. 2.5 years ago in August, I had a brother who all of you know about, many of you read the books about him. By now there's more than one book already. Who passed away young of cancer. And when we were sitting Shiva on him, people come in and honestly, they say the stupidest things in the world. Maybe that's why in Halakha it says that they shouldn't talk. They really say the stupidest things in the world. They come in with candy baskets and chocolates. That's what we're interested in now? Like, come on, a little bit. He was such a great guy, he didn't even know him. Stop lying. The whole thing is, it's really shallow. And for a couple of days, I'm sitting there and my stomach is turning inside. It's like, I almost don't want to be there. I used to do rotation with my brothers, that somebody should be there for a couple of hours each day, just that we shouldn't all have to put up with the same nonsense all day. And then it was, I think, the 4th day. A gentleman walked in. I don't know the man until this very day. I don't know his name. It was as if God sent us a messenger from above. And he sat down. He didn't look young. And he said, I want to share with you a story. That's all he said. So what story? He said, I'm a student of Rabbi Shapiro. Rabbi Shapiro just recently passed away. Moshe Shapiro, sorry. Moshe Shapiro just recently. Moshe Shapiro had a very young daughter who passed away in his life. And he said that I went to do Nichum Avelim by Rabbi Moshe Shapiro when he was sitting Shiva for his little daughter. And nobody was able to tell him anything that gave him any strength. Whatever they told him didn't work. And Moshe Shapiro was the Gaon of Machshava, the genius of understanding Jewish philosophy, and the great tzaddik and the great Talmid Chacham, the greatest of all, the giant of our generation. And he said, one day in the middle of the Shiva, people suddenly saw that he's back to himself and he's smiling. And I said, what changed? Doesn't make any sense. A couple of hours ago, there was like nobody to talk to. Now he looks like the strongest man ever. And they turned to him and they said, Moshe, what, we're happy to see this, but what changed? So he said, somebody said an unbelievable thing over here. So he said, what did somebody say? His daughter was very young. What are you going to say about a young girl? She was so cute. That's not a compliment. You're complimenting God that he made a nice thing. What's the compliment in that? Sometimes I stand by events and they say about a person, whether he's alive or not, he's such a handsome person. That's not a compliment for him. Hashem did a good job. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. That's a compliment. What's the compliment in that? If you say he made his soul handsome, that's a compliment. He made an effort to be a better person. He was proactive in doing something productive in life. He dressed so well. Everybody likes dressing well. That's a compliment. That's an insult almost. He wasted his life on that. You have to know what's important in that. So a guy comes into Moshe Shapiro and tells him he has a question. He says, what's the question? He says, the Gemara says when a child is created, there's three partners. The father, the mother, and God. The Gemara elaborates in detail what the father contributes to the baby, what the mother contributes to the baby, and God that contributes life. So the guy asked Moshe Shapiro, how could it be that your daughter passed away? Api halacha, if you're partners with somebody else, let's say me and you go partners in a building now. And next week I want to sell it, I have to get your permission. I can't sell it without your permission. We're partners. He says, so God and the mother and the father are partners in the child. How could God ever take a child away? What happened to the partnership? You got to ask your partners first. He never came and asked any father or mother if he could take a kid. How's it fair? You're not allowed to do that. And the Gemara says that. And God is obligated to stick to the Gemara. He obligates himself to live by his own laws. So how does he do it? So Moshe told him, this is a good question. I don't know. So he said, I'll give you an answer. He said, what's the answer? He said that the Gemara says there's one disclaimer in a situation. What's the situation? It comes to God and says, if you and I buy a property in partnership, and we bought it, for example, for $1 million, and then a week later you're not around and not reachable, so I can't get your approval, but somebody's offering $5 million for the same property, like way above what the market price is. So then I'm allowed to sell it without asking you permission. Why? The Gemara says, because if you would have been around, you would have for sure agreed. Because everybody wants to make 5 times their money or 4 times their money in 2 weeks. So when we know for sure that you would have agreed, so then we don't have to ask you. It's a no-brainer. That's what the Gemara says. So he came to Moshe Shapiro and he told him, if Hashem's a partner and he didn't ask, that means that even though we may not see it clearly today, and even though we may not understand it today, it's so good for that soul to be closer to Hashem at this point in Shamayim that he didn't even have to ask the partners because there was such a great benefit in it. And honestly, that was the only thing I heard the entire week of my brother's Shiva that made any sense to me. When you have a problem in your life and you want to know the tool to deal with it, it's to understand that you're partners with God in life. Your soul is part of God. That means you and him are partners every day, all day long. That means that if God is causing you this problem, it is so beneficial for your life that he didn't have to ask you if you want to sign up for it or not. Now, of course, I took the extreme example, because I took the most sensitive example, both because of tonight's event and because of my personal life story and what I see every day. But this applies down to the most trivial things in this world. You missed the train, now you're upset. What are you upset about? You didn't miss the train, Hashem missed the train. He made you miss the train. So that means that he knew that it was beneficial enough for you to miss the train that he doesn't have to ask you. And I'm sure many of you heard the story of the young boy in London that Rabbi Farhi said over many, many, many times, that one morning missed his train as a result of his watch not working properly and getting the time wrong. And later on finding out, not later on, just a few minutes later on, finding out that the train was the famous train in the London bombing that all those on that cart didn't make it. So at the moment he missed the train, he was very upset. But at the moment he understood that God is the one who made him miss the train, meaning the partner chose what's going to happen here. And if the partner chose without asking, that means that he knows what he's doing, that there's such a great benefit that everybody would agree. So at that moment you can miss the train. And this kid was lucky and he understood the reason why. Some of us will have to wait till Mashiach comes until we visit God face to face. Now listen to this. How do we apply this in the practical day-to-day life and become stronger people and better people as a result? Because that's the most important. So there's an Or HaChaim HaKadosh. Rabbeinu Chaim Ben Atar, Zchutei Yagen Aleinu. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh says that he's bothered. This is in Parashat Vayechi, this Or HaChaim exists, if you want to know how the source. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh says in Parashat Vayechi, that says Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim. So the Or HaChaim is bothered by what does it have to say that Yaakov Avinu lived in Egypt for? Who cares? What's so important? We already said he went down to Egypt, so we know he was there. Again, we have to say he lived in Egypt 17 years. Who cares about that? The second of all, he wants to understand the pasuk over there says Shnei Chayav, how many years he lived there. And what do we have to say that for? The Egypt segment of Yaakov Avinu's life wasn't the most important. He had his kids before that. He did all his accomplishments were before that. The time that he learned in Shem Va'ever was before that. Everything was before that. What was the emphasis, a special part in the Torah, Psukim, to talk about the... So the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, I'm going to read in Hebrew and translate word for word from the Or HaChaim. Ve'ulai, and maybe, ki letzad shekol yemei Yaakov lo nach ve'lo shakat, because the entire life of Yaakov Avinu, he never had a peaceful moment, everything was always problems and hard. Ki mi shenolad sitno v'adayin lo shaka shimsho. Amad Lavan, and he goes on to count all the problems that he had. From the day he was born, trouble started. Actually, trouble started by Yaakov even before he was born. Right, he was in the stomach of his mother, we learned in Parashat Toldot, and already there, him and his twin brother Esav were fighting. They came to Bet Midrash, he wanted to go out, they came to that, he wanted to... Already there the trouble started. Yaakov Avinu, when Esav went out first, Yaakov Avinu, in order to get out, had to grab onto Esav's ankle. That's why they called him Yaakov, right? That's what the Torah says. Meaning his struggles in life began before he was born. And he struggled his entire life. And then with Lavan and the wives, and that, problem after problem. And then, what we learn now in the parasha, the Tsar of Dinah. His daughter was kidnapped, Hashem Yerachem, Hashem. Not a pleasant thing. Then Yosef, his son, disappears, 22 years. And that, so he suffered. Comes to Or HaChaim and says, it was 17 years of his life that he didn't suffer. The last 17 years. Those 7 comes to Torah and says, Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim 17 shana, Eilu ayu chayav velo kodem. Those were the years that he lived like peacefully, that he didn't have trouble, and not before that. What does that mean? Comes to Or HaChaim and writes, Lirmoz shehen heina hayu yamav shaya lahem berchiyut. Those were the years that he had an extra life to them. There was an extra life to them. And what did he do in those years? He sat in his son's yeshiva. The father sat in the son's yeshiva. Yehuda opened the yeshiva in Goshen. And the father sat there and learned. That's what it says in Chazal. What does this Or HaChaim mean to say over here? What's going on over here? If anything, we know from Rashi that we wouldn't put an emphasis on that. Why? Bikesh Yaakov leshev b'shalva, kafatz alav rogzo shel Yosef. when Yaakov Avinu wanted to have, told God, I had enough problems already. So Hashem gave him even a bigger problem. Yosef HaTzadik disappeared for 22 years. So we see clearly that by Hashem, it was Hashem's design for Yaakov Avinu's life wasn't the life of peace. So what's this emphasis on that last 17 years that he lived peacefully or not? What's the emphasis here? Second of all, if those were the great years of his life, the Torah has told about his birth, and Vayetze, and Vayishlach, and Vayeshev, and Miketz, and Vayigash, that are all about Yaakov Avinu's troubles. 6 parashot plus, that are all about his problems. And 1 pasuk, 2 psukim at the beginning of 1 parasha about his good days. If the good days were so important, so then what's this all? So why is the emphasis about his problems? Make 6 parashiot about those 17 years, and make a few psukim about his hard times. It's a good question, huh? If you went to a restaurant and you had a 5-course dinner, and 4 courses were terrible, 1 course was amazing, which one is the one that you want to discuss? The good one. That's the emphasis. If Yaakov Avinu had all these years that were tragic, and he had 17 years that were great, so we should put the emphasis, 6, 7 parashiot, talk about the good, and the rest will stick in, by the way. There was a great Baal Musar, Gaon HaTzadik Reuven Melamed, Zecher Tzadik Levachas Chutay Yagen Aleinu, who says an unbelievable answer to this. Listen to what he says. You could turn your life around with this answer. He says, you know why the Torah put 6 parashiot of trouble and 2 psukim of greatness? Not because the great days weren't important. They were extremely important. Halavai, Hashem should help that the pain and suffering of Am Yisrael should end already and we should all live peaceful lives and happy lives. Halavai. But the Torah is coming to teach us a big lesson. How did Yaakov Avinu become Yaakov Avinu? How did Yaakov Avinu merit to have 17 years of being able to learn Torah peacefully in Yehuda, Yeshiva, and to have nachat from his kids and everything? In what merit did he have that from? Comes the Chaim HaKadosh and tells us indirectly, he didn't merit that because of his good days. He didn't merit that as a gift either. He merited it because of his struggles. That when you have such nisyonot, such tests, such hardships, such battles all the time, and anyway you come out on top, comes like Baruch Hu and says, now you're a hero. The guy who had the easy life on a silver platter, fine. If he didn't become something, we should go after him. What's your excuse? The one who had everything go wrong for him in life, and anyway came out on top. That's the true Jewish hero. In today's world, normally, the more prestigious of a family, community, and bank account you belong to, the more of a hero you're considered. In the Torah, the more of a loser you're considered. In the Torah, when you come exactly from not that, you come from poverty, you come from struggle, you come from hardship, you come from schools that maybe didn't know how to understand you and accept you the right way, you come from constant battles, you come from nothing came easy, then you're a hero. You're somebody worth talking about. Yaakov Avinu's rough years, we'll put parasha after parasha to talk about. The years that he sat easy and learned Torah, big deal that we all want to do. When a person has such an approach to life, suddenly it's not so rough anymore. Suddenly it's not so rough anymore. And I want to share with you something that I'm sure I've shared in different contexts in the past. Because Baruch Hu gave me a painful merit in life. The merit is that I'm able to help many, many Jews every day. The painful part is that I have to share with their pain. I have a big schut that I never went to college for this, and I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a psycho. And I don't, no, I wasn't saying that. I was a little comma there, just in case. And I don't charge for my services. Everything's 100% free. Just the opposite, I pay for my services. It costs me a fortune of money to provide my services. And therefore, I'm not bound by the law that says that you're not allowed to care about a Jew or care about a person. A doctor's bound by different laws that say he's not allowed to care about his patients. That's why they keep them waiting. They're waiting 2.5 hours. But I'm not. I'm actually, So I sat with the boys and the girls and the men and the women of the world and laughed their laughs and cried their tears and sang their songs with them and went through every stage in life, from the best days to the saddest, hardest, worst situations. And not one, and not 10, and not 100, in the many, many thousands, unfortunately. And I wish I go bankrupt already, that there shouldn't be problems, and I shouldn't have to hear people's problems all day. And I want to tell you something interesting. There were those that the suffering did the better to them, and Hashem Yerachim, it ended up in very tragic circumstances. But they are the fine minority, and it's not their fault, and they're not being judged. They go straight to Gan Eden. These kids suffered so much that straight to Gan Eden. The vast majority that were able to overcome their rough times in life, or at least to deal with them and to move forward, the vast majority, at a certain point, hit what they would consider better days. Now, I'm not sure what the title of better days is. Every day is the same because if Hashem decides that's the way the day should be, it's a good day, period. But in the Western way of expressing it, better days. You know the common denominator between all these thousands of people that I had the merit to be friends with over my life is that I always ask them at that point an interesting question. If you were born again tomorrow and had to start life from zero, and God told you have one of two choices, either to be born in a different family on a silver platter and everything will go smooth, or to go through all the hell that you went through your whole life, but to become the person you are today, which would you pick? And 100% of these people said, I would do it all over again. Thousands and thousands of people of all ages, of all backgrounds, of all situations. All said the same thing. I would do it all over again the same way. They don't realize what they're saying. They're saying in Orach Chaim HaKadosh. They're saying the Pshat the way Rabbi Yaakov learns the Pshat in Orach Chaim HaKadosh. What makes you great? What makes you a hero? Exactly the hard time. Exactly the struggle. Exactly the fight. Exactly the battle. I had a very, very unique interaction with a boy today on the Exxon station on Main Street. I don't know who the boy is, but he's really sweet. He's on my hit list right now because he promised me that he's coming tonight and I don't see him. But other than that, he's really sweet. He told me, comes up with me, he says, Yaakov. I said, yeah. He said, I'm so happy to see you. I said, what? He said, I just figured out, or realized, I don't know how he worded it, that the past 3 days, he didn't say the Yetzer Hara, that's already my explanation. He said my laziness got the better of me, and I didn't put on tefillin. I just realized that 3 days in a row. He says, I always used to miss once in a while, but 3 days in a row, that I never did before. So I'm feeling really, really bad about it. I don't know this guy. I guess he knows me. I don't know. So I told him I actually do. So he said, what's that? I said, I didn't miss 3 days in a row with tefillin. He said, what's good about that? You're rubbing it in? You're trying to stab me? What are you trying to do over there? He was getting angry at me. It's in the gas station over there. I said, calm down, Tzadik. I said, what? I said, the Yetzer Hara only had the power to fight with one of us. And he had to pick between me and you. And he said, Yaakov, I don't know what's going to come out of him. It's a waste of time to fight with him. This guy could be a big tzaddik one day. Him I have to fight with. I'm going to get him not to put on tefillin. I said, so if the Yetzer Hara had to spend 3 days in a row on you and skip me those 3 days, that means you're great. I said, otherwise, why do you spend the time on you? Would you train in an employee that the first second that they walk into your office for an interview, you realize that they don't know how to read? No, because nobody to train. If the Yetzer Hara, you don't invest time in somebody that won't produce for you. If the Yetzer Hara sees a person won't produce for Judaism, he's not going to give him a hard time. He's leaving him alone. Chazal say that. Kol hagadol mechaveiro, somebody who's greater than his friend, and the way the Maharal learns it's somebody who potentially can be greater than him. Yitzro gadol imenu. The Yetzer Hara has to spend more time by him. Because they're scared. What's going to come out of him? We can't help. We can't let it happen, the Yetzer Hara says. I said, if he came to you 3 days in a row to tell you not to put on tefillin, wow, you're a hero. So he tells me, okay, we're going to shul. I said, let's go. I already prayed at shul, but I went with him again, so I shouldn't get lost on the way. It's a shame I didn't stay with him all day. He would be here now. Many of us had our ups and downs in life, mentally, emotionally, financially, and most and worst of all, spiritually. Instead of feeling trampled on, instead of feeling like a loser, instead of becoming weak from it, remember you're a hero. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu had allowed the Yetzer Hara to spend so much time with you, to cause you to do such crazy, stupid things, to make such mistakes, to go through so much suffering, to battle so many struggles, you must potentially be able to be great. So not only aren't you less than somebody else, you're actually so much greater than somebody else. Now you're going to ask, but what about the lost time? And what about everything else? So I'll tell you an interesting thing. If you go to get advice from somebody about the transaction you want to do in business, for example, and let's say it's in the jewelry business, but the guy you're going to knows nothing about jewelry. He may have read books about it, but in reality, he never worked in the industry. He doesn't know what the industry is. The advice that he's going to give you, Hashem Yerachem, it's going to be bad news. It's not going to work. That's why, to me, the biggest hypocrisy in the world is democracy. On many fronts, many, many fronts. But one of the stupidest things that exist in what we call the democratic electoral system is I elect somebody who knows nothing about nothing, who's supposed to make the decisions that are supposed to better my life. In Israel, we have ministers in fields that don't know anything about them at all. The current Minister of Security of Israel, I have nothing against him, he's a really nice guy, it happens to be. His wife is a Baalat Tshuva and a big tzaddik. Has no security background. I don't even know if he served in the Israeli army. Probably not. I think he's an immigrant. It's a joke. The Minister of Finance knows nothing about finance. 2 in a row in Israel already like that. How the Israeli economy is still booming and growing at a crazy speed? It's a nes. Hashem makes miracles. Yeah. If you want a testimony to God's existence, there's your testimony. So b'derech hateva, it's insane. And who made the choice of who to put who in? The people, who also know nothing about security and finance. So we vote a president. We know nothing about what it means to be a president. We're going to decide who's going to be the president. It's the most absurd system. It makes exactly zero sense. But of course, it feels good. I'm in power. I have the right. What right? You have no rights. But rights. You have rights until you have the first problem in life. After that, all your rights are suddenly gone. But I once overheard 2 doctors in Sloan Kettering talking. And I was horrified. And this is what I was horrified by. That one said to the other, the numbers today aren't adding up. We got to change the breed of patient. Otherwise known as, their patients that day didn't have the right insurances, so they weren't getting the right reimbursements. So now we got to delay some patients' appointments and take others that have better insurances, so the numbers should add up for them. How evil does a person have to become in order to get to a point that he can say such a thing out of his mouth? And I have nothing against doctors as a whole. The larger percentage of the people that I call close to me in my life are in the medical field. I myself volunteer on a daily basis in pediatric intensive care. But you need a heart. You need to be able to care. You can't allow yourself to become a robot. Because the day you become a robot, you're not alive. What are you at that point? We don't need you anymore in this world. And the bigger your heart is, the more alive you are. But now listen to how it works. Chofetz Chaim, Rabbi Yaakov Yagen once said that he woke up one winter morning and it was cold outside and he was in bed. And after Chofetz Chaim didn't say this about himself, I wouldn't believe the story, but I heard that Chofetz Chaim said it about himself. And he said the Yetzer Hara came to him and told him, listen, you're already an old man and it's cold outside. Maybe you should stay in bed another few minutes, warm up a little bit, it's safer for you, it's healthier for you, it's better. Chofetz Chaim said the case was really convincing, he was convinced. Made sense, no? He's an old man. It's cold. No? He has to go outside, the shul, early in the morning. He'll go a little later. There's a 9 o'clock minyan also. What's the big deal? There's different minhagim when it comes to praying nets. By the Sfaradim, we have nets that is in English called sunrise. By the Hasidim, they have nets, which is Rashi Tevot, 9 Seiner, 9-10. And by the Mahmirim amongst the Hasidim, they have a different nets that's called Noch 12, after 12. But we all daven nets, everybody at his hour. Each one picks which type of nets he wants. Fine. The main thing is if you show up to shul, it's already something, right? So Chavetz Chaim said the Yetzirah had a good case. He said, and I was about to give in to him. And then suddenly I said, wait a second. Mr. Yetzirah, I'm around for 90 years, let's say, for example. I don't know how many years it was, I just made that up. You're around since B'riyat Ha'olam. 5,700 and something years. You're a lot older than me. And you are out in the cold in the morning coming to my house to tell me not to go to shul. So isn't that a double standard? I jumped out of bed and I went and I did the right thing. Sometimes in life to understand that struggle has been older than you is the greatest help to battle struggle. Now I want to tell you a chiddush that just came to my mind. The pasuk says, "Hazorim b'dima berina yiktzoru." Those who plant in tears will sow in joy. Now there are many, many pshatim, both in the Rishonim and the Achronim on this thing. One of the most common explanations is Hazorim b'dima means one who invests in prayer. Berina, cries to Hashem for help. Berina yiktzoru, he's going to have a good result at the end. Things will work out. I want to tell you, based on what we're saying tonight, a new chiddush just came to me. Yoschut Kal Kadosh. Hazorim b'dima. If you started off your life and it was hard, there were nights that you shed a lot of tears because it wasn't easy for you. Comes Hashem and says, as long as you don't give up, Berina yiktzoru, you're going to end up being the happiest person alive. Because you're going to feel so accomplished one day that you were able to become who you became, that it was worth every fight and every battle and every struggle along the way. You hear that? Hazorim b'dima. If you lived a life that at the beginning, or there were many years sometimes, you had hardship, you had battles, you had fights, you had situations, it wasn't easy. As long as you don't fold, as long as you don't say, okay, I'm throwing the cards in. Berina yiktzoru, comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says, I promise you that there'll be a day that you'll look back like all those thousands of boys and girls that I know. Let's say if I had to do it again, I would do it all over the same exact way. Because the one who I became is the one that would have never happened without the pain. Years ago, when I was a very, very, very young child, I was very into listening to stories. That's where I got that idea from. When you speak, just say a lot of stories because that's what works. And who was the greatest storyteller in the Jewish community that was an English speaker many, let's say 35 years ago, or 33 years ago? Pesach Kron, Rabbi Pesach Kron. So I used to my mom used to get me tapes of his, and I used to listen to his stories. And I can tell you something. There's almost nothing that I remember from all those stories that I heard. But there is one sentence that I have stuck in my head that I was either 4 or 5 when I heard it. I don't have the tape. I don't know. Maybe my mom still collects tapes, but I'm sure by now I can get it online on one of these websites or something. He said, turn your pain into somebody else's gain. Now, I don't know if that was his or that was stolen from somebody, but who cares? It's brilliant. He said, instead of you turning your pain into being a loser, you suffered anyway. It hurt you anyway. You went through it anyway. So now take that and do something with it. Now make it benefit somebody. And now you'll be a hero. What an eitzah, what a smart thing. And it's stuck, I'm telling you, 4 or 5 years old maybe. And it's stuck in my brain, and it was a compass to me in life. And every time I went through a hard time and whatever it was, including some very, very tough circumstances, I used to think to myself, what am I going to be able to gain out of this? And this is what I concluded I'm able to gain. Besides for a test in emunah and getting closer to Hashem and working on yourself to get better in prayer and in mitzvot and in chesed and other things, there's also one more amazing thing. That if somebody sits across from me and talks to me about something that I haven't gone through, I don't know what he wants. I could play the role, I could try to care, but beyond that, I don't know. But if somebody sits across from me and he talks to me about something that I have been through, so I understand him through and through, I feel him through and through, and I can really now be there for him 100%. And he's never going to be alone again. That means if I woke up with a migraine, Hashem didn't give me a migraine. Hashem gave me a tool to help somebody else with a migraine. If I woke up without a job one morning, Hashem didn't take away my job. He gave me a tool to be able to give chizuk to another Jew who doesn't have a job one day. If I had to battle an illness or something else in my life, God didn't make me sick. He gave me a tool to be able to help thousands of others that lo aleinu aren't well. Because he said, now you're going to know what they're going through. And now that you know what they're going through, you're able to help them. When a guy walks into an office and pays a doctor $800 for an appointment, and this guy went to an Ivy League school, and his parents paid for most of his tuition, a couple of dollars in student loans that he had left he was able to pay off right away after school, and he starts telling him how depressed he feels. So the doctor takes out a pad and writes a few drugs and gives it to him and sends him on his merry way. Because what does he know what it means to feel that way? What does he know? He doesn't know what it means to feel that way. When somebody else who battled depression in their life and got out of it and beat it against the odds and is here to say the story, has a friend who's going through a rough time and is showing signs of depression, he can actually sit down with that friend and just give them one hug and say, I know what you're going through, and suddenly the friend feels better. Without months and months and months and years of treatment and tens of thousands of dollars. Because I've been there. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu put Yaakov Avinu through all this tzarot and the Shvatim through all these problems that they had? So they've been there. So they could be able to establish Am Yisrael, and not just a nation of givers, and a nation of givers from their own harsh experiences in life. Because they turned their pain into somebody else's benefit. The greatest way to heal from anything in life is to turn your struggle into somebody else's benefit. And I think that's the only reason why people struggle, by the way, also. And if you want, some of you are into superstitions and zgulot. If you want a zgulot not to struggle, here it is. Whatever area you're struggling in, help others in, because that's what you're going to be best at. And then at that point, what happens? The Yetzer Hara says, wait a second. So this person's struggles are making him help other people. I can't let him struggle anymore. He goes to God and says, no more struggles for this person. Because when people are comfortable, they forget that society exists. It's true. The guy told me on the phone this week, I was raising funds for this kid that we try to keep in Jewish school, Baruch Hashem, and 2 others that are on the waiting list to get out of Catholic school, that if we had the money, they would be in Jewish school today. Embarrassing to say that even. And I called this one guy who normally contributes every month towards this cause. Not much, but something. And a couple months ago, he told me the business is doing very well, and he was all proud that he made it in the world, as he said. And I called him this month, and he said, I'm sorry, I'm maxed out on charity, I can't give. I said, wait a second, 4 months ago when you didn't have a living, so to get a couple $100 a month from you was the easiest thing. Now that you're bragging that you're making so much money, you can't get money out of you? And he was quiet, and a minute later he said, the money blinded me. I told him I want to share with you a story. And with this, we'll share 2 more stories and we're done. This is one of the 2. One of the great Gedolei Olam, I forgot who it was, but 99% sure, I'm not saying 100%, 99% sure was Reb Chaim Volozhin. Had a student that came to him one day and told him, Rebbe, I want a blessing to win the lottery. I want to tell you, I'm not a rabbi, but as one who, I don't know, I guess people like and feel comfortable venting to, the thing that I probably was asked for most was a blessing to win the lottery. I said, who knows if that's good for you? Maybe that'll be the biggest curse for you. He said, so how do we know? I said, it's very simple. Go buy a ticket. If you win, it was good for you. If not, it's the biggest curse for you. That nobody's willing to accept. No, give me a blessing. I actually once had a very cute story. No, I'm not lying. There's a story within a story, so it's okay. I was in Florida in a speech in one of the synagogues there, when some guy who was an eye doctor, who was a big pessimist and didn't like my style at all, to put it mildly, popped up and said, everybody here says you're so smart. If you're so smart, I want you to prove it to me right now. I said, first of all, I don't have to prove anything. Second of all, I don't know who's everybody, and I'm not so smart. So I'm telling you, I'm not smart. Leave me alone. No. So he twisted it. They say that people that study a lot of Torah, Hashem gives them knowledge in areas beyond. If that's the case, I want you to give me the numbers to the lottery. This was 10:30 at night. The lottery was at, I think, 11 o'clock that night, the same night. And this was in public. What are you supposed to tell a guy like this? I said, if I'm going to tell him bug off, which is what I really should have told him, I'm going to lose the momentum. And I was on a roll over there. It was a long class, a good few hours. If I don't tell him bug off, I'm not giving him the numbers to the lottery because I don't know them. Because if I knew them, I would use them myself. I wouldn't give them to him. I don't know why Hashem put such a crazy idea in my head. I told him, let's make a deal. Bring a piece of paper. This is in front of everybody. Wrote a piece of paper. I wrote 3 numbers. I said, in life, everything has to work with a partnership. There's 6 numbers in the lottery. I gave you half. The other half, figure out on your own. This guy took the 3 numbers, left the class, I guess picked his other 3 numbers, and bought a ticket. Came back in, half an hour after the lottery drawing was there, and started yelling from the back, "You're a lowlife!" I was called a lot of things in my life, but that already is pushing it. I said, what did I do wrong? He said, you couldn't give me the other 3? And he showed the paper to everybody. My 3 numbers hit, and his 3 numbers missed. It's Sonia Reyav Yasek. Baruch wanted to make a Kiddush Hashem in front of tons and tons of people. So he made a Kiddush Hashem. It had nothing to do with me. What I do is crazy. Nobody should ever try it. But it was fun. It was a good night. This guy comes to Chaim Volozhin and tells him, maybe I want to win the lottery. I think it was Chaim Volozhin. Chaim Volozhin tells him, fine. If you'll do good things with the money, you should win the lottery. So he says, what's good thing? He says, give tzedakah. So he said, of course, I'll give Maaseh. So Chaim Volozhin told him, idiot. Maaseh, that poor people have to give. If you win the lottery, you have to give 90%. Keep Maaseh. I'll give 10%. I'll give 10%. If you want $100 million and you don't give most of it away, then you're a lowlife. Where are you taking the money to? To your grave? To where? When Mashiach comes, your money's going to be worth nothing. And if you invest in Bitcoin, probably soon it'll be worth nothing anyway, and also. So, where's it going to? That's good. This video one day will be a good prediction. But anyway, so he said, you know what, Rabbi, I agree with you. 90% charity. Done deal. The rabbi heard that. He said, this is already a big one. If that's the case, Halavai, you should win. I think it was the lottery. If not, it was in business to make a lot of money. One way or the other. To be rich. Halavai, you should be rich. Sure enough, very quickly, he was very rich. Whether it was the lottery or something else, but he was very, very rich very quickly. And now it came to giving tzedakah and nothing doing. There's not $1. Forget about 90%. And one day he comes to Reb Chaim Volozhin. And he's crying. Tells him, Rebbe, I don't know what to do. I made a promise to give 90%. I meant it. I still mean it. I still plan on sticking to it. And every time I want to take money and give it away, I can't do it. It doesn't work. He says, Rabbi, this is crazy because when I was poor, I was a giver. When I had one sandwich, half I shared with somebody else. And now that I have all this money, I can't give that. Rabbi, help me. How does this make sense? And Chaim told him, I'll tell you how it makes sense. And he took him to the window. He lived on the 2nd floor of a building. And he said, look out of the window down there, what do you see? He looks out, it's a busy day, Peter's hot. So I see people walking, rushing on the sidewalk. I said, now wait a minute. He went into the kitchen, and he brought a piece of silver, let's call it silver foil. He put it behind the window. And he told him, look into the window and tell me what you see. What happens when you take glass and put silver behind it? It becomes a mirror. He said, I see myself. He said, did anything change in the glass? He said, no. He said, so why before did you see people and now you see yourself? He said, because silver, meaning in Hebrew it's called kesef, money, is blocking it. He said, as long as you didn't have it, of course you were able to see people. And how do you have it? And you know what this person told Reb Chaim? He said, if that's the case, Rebbe, give me another blessing. So he said, what's the blessing? He said that either I should stick to my promise right away or lose it all. Because he was an honest man. Because Baruch Hu wants us to be heroes. Heroes are those who don't put silver to blind ourselves. Who see other people and other people's sensitivities and other people's feelings. That's what Hashem wants. And I end up with my last story. The Mahariv Disky once went fundraising to build a mikveh. They needed a mikveh and there was no money, but there was no rich people there. And in Yerushalayim we lived, then it was like there was nowhere to get money from. There was one guy who was the only wealthy Orthodox Jew then in that part of Israel. And his name was Ungval. He was a very wealthy man. But as wealthy as he was, that's how stingy he was. It's a sickness. Stinginess is a sickness. You know, in the Akdamat of the Zohar it says, if somebody's stingy, Bevadai lav mibnei razei bnei Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. He's definitely not a Jewish neshama. He's from the Erev Rav. That's what it says in the Akdamat of Tikunei HaZohar. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai writes that. It doesn't say maybe, because bnei Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov is midat HaChesed. Somebody stingy doesn't have midat HaChesed, so it can't be that he has a Jewish neshama. That's what it says over there. Tikunei HaZohar is frightening. If you ever wanted to be cheap on something, just think about that Zohar before. And he's not even talking about tzedakah, he's talking about in general. Some people are stingy, they nitpick with you, right? Guy sends his son to the store. His son tells him, Dad, I'm going to buy pizza, I need $5. So he says, how many slices are you buying? He says, 1. He says, okay, bring me back the change. And then he does it in the name of educating the kid to value money. He educates the kid that my father wants to be down my throat and not let me breathe, and doesn't trust me, and doesn't believe in me. And then the kid, we wonder why he becomes afterwards Hashem Yirachim, what problems that we see every day. It makes no sense, this whole way. And I know there are rabbis and speakers that are preaching this way of rules and boundaries, and they're killing Klal Yisrael. They're killing children one day at a time. Because this doesn't work, it failed. Yitzchak Avinu didn't do it with Esav, and nobody else did it in the history of Klal Yisrael. There's a new invention. It doesn't work. Av, Rashi writes, what's an Av? A father, Reya, a best friend. So Maril here has no choice. Nobody has money to give. Ungva, the only guy who's rich, doesn't give. So now what do you do? He said he's going to him anyway. He says, a Jew is a Jew. I'm going. So he goes to the guy's house, knocks on his door. This guy sees the great rabbi coming, even though he didn't like giving money, but a rabbi coming that he liked, that's respect. Brings him in. What do us Bukharian Jews, us I say for my wife, do when a person comes into our house, definitely a rabbi? We feed them, right? If not, oy v'avoy. But we're not going to say eat. It's not respect to tell Talmid Chacham eat. They tell him, make a bracha, right? I once went to a house, it wasn't Bukharian, unfortunately. It would have been better if it would have been a Bukharian house. I didn't eat the whole day. I was starving. I thought maybe they would bring out something and we'd be able to make some bracha. They didn't bring out anything. And my stomach was oy va'avoy haram. So I said, you know what? Chazal say, v'la baishan lamed. Somebody who's embarrassed will never learn because they'll never ask. I said, v'la baishan ochel. If you're embarrassed, you're never going to eat. So, to say I'm starving, give me food, that I wasn't going to do. That's already below me. So I told the guy in a nice way, I said, do me a favor, I want to make a blessing in your house. Bring me something for bracha. I figured I'll twist it the other way around. He said, sure, I'm so happy, that's such a good idea. He had a big china closet in the dining room. He went, he opened it up, he brought me this thing. He said, make boreh mineh b'samim. Haram on that bracha, how much kavanah went into it. I told him, if I make boreh mineh b'samim now, in a minute you're going to make a bracha, Baruch Dayan ha'emet. You got to let me eat something. But then I wasn't shy anymore. That's somebody who's very stingy. Even that he couldn't do. Even to give that. The Maharil goes in, he's offered one of these Borei Minei Psamim situations. And he tells him, okay, situation, what should we do? He turns to the guy and he tells him, I'm building a mikveh. And Mr. Ungvar looks back at the man and tells him, I don't give charity. And you know what he answers him back? He doesn't try to convince him to give. He says, I know! So he says to them, why would you come to me? To waste your time, to embarrass yourself? You're a big Talmid Chacham. Why would you do this? And this is what he told him back. This is what I'm sure they did. He said, there's going to be a day that I'm going to go up to Shamayim, and you're going to go up to Shamayim. And he said, we're about the same age, so probably it'll be more or less on the same Rima time. He said, I'm going to come to Beit Din Shel Mala. And in Beit Din Shel Mala, they're going to ask me if I learn Torah, I'm going to say yeah. If I try to help people, I'll say yeah. If I kept mitzvot, I'll say yeah. And they're going to say, go to Gan Eden. And they're going to come to you, and they're going to say, did you learn Torah? You're going to say no, and you're going to say, why not? And you're going to say, because I was busy with my business. What should I do? I didn't have time. And they're going to say, you're right. Okay, fine. You're busy. What about davening? Also, I was busy with my business. Okay, you were busy. What about that? Busy with my business. And you say, you made money in your business? Yeah. Did you give tzedakah? You're going to say no. You say, so then what's the excuse? Maybe you were busy in your business and you did chesed, fine. So you're going to say, nobody ever asked me. So I came here today to ask you, knowing that I'm going to get a no. So that day when that happens in Beit Din Shel Mala, I'll be able to come to God and tell him, I asked him and he still said no. Have a good day, goodbye, I'm leaving. That's what he told him. Ungva got up and told Rabbi Shuleb, you're not going anywhere, come back. And he said, what come back? You're not giving. He says, I'm not giving. He says, you know why I'm not giving, Rabbi? Because I'm sick, because I'm not capable of being a giver. But now I understand that I have to give. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to unlock my safe. I'm going to leave the house, because I'm not capable of seeing this. You're going to take as much money as you feel is right, and you're going to leave. And I want you to promise me that you'll never tell me how much money you took. Because he wasn't capable of hearing that somebody else had his money. Rabbi Shuleb, when he said over the story, said that the guy left the house, he left the safe open, he says, I took money to build the mikveh and to support it for many, many years afterwards. He took the chumrah, with all the hidurim, chazonish shiur. He did it all the way. And he left. Now listen to a wild thing. In Mea Shearim there's a neighborhood, an area in Mea Shearim, it's called Batei Ungvar. It was built by a wealthy man who saw that there were poor Talmidei Chachamim in Yerushalayim that had nowhere to live. And he built homes and gave them, not loaned them, gave them houses for free. And it was this guy. Because mitzvah goreret mitzvah. Once he broke that barrier of not being able to be a giver, he became the greatest giver of all times. You wake up in a bad mood and you want to stay in a bad mood, you'll be in a bad mood all day because Averah, Goreret Averah. You wake up in a bad mood, but you want to be a Baal Chesed, you want to be a person who makes other people happy, who smiles to others, who cracks a good joke once in a while, helps people. Because Baruch Hu says, Mitzvah, Goreret Mitzvah. Now you'll have a good day, you'll be able to do it. It's all up here, it's all what you decided that you want to do that day. Choose to be a hero. Bachalta b'chaim. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. And to be politically correct, tonight's my father-in-law's 65th birthday that I'm not at the party. So I wish him happy birthday. Sorry, Dad, I love you. I would have loved to have been there, but the shiur was more important.